Hello and welcome everybody to the weekly Shir in Yanagul Mashiach on the internet. Thanks to you and your participation, the Shir has grown to be the largest Shir in Yanagul Mashiach. This Shir that we're watching this evening is actually the 9th Shir in the series of Shiurim. The number 9 is very much connected to Mashiach because the number 9 is the number of Emes. Emes means that wherever you turn, it always comes back. It's true all over. Chazal, we say about the number 9, that you times 9 by any other number, it always comes back to 9. 9 times 2 is 18, 1 and 8 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27, 2 and 7 is 9. It always reverts back to its original number, that's the number of Emes. Which leads to a fascinating story connected with the Rebbe when he was a young child. His Melamed once asked the class, why does Torah start with a Beis and not an Aleph? And the Rebbe answered that the Isis of the Aleph Beis are divided 22 letters. If you divide it by 3, you'll have Aleph Beis Gimel, Daled Hey Vav, Zayin Ches Tes. If you start that way, it always ends up with the number 6. Aleph Beis Gimel, the Gematria is 6. Daled Hey Vav is 15, 1 and 5 is 6, and so on and so forth. If you're going to go through the letters, it's always going to end up by 6. 6 is the number of Sheker, because Shin is 3, Kuf is 1, Reish is 2. However, if you start with the number Beis, the letter Beis, and you still go Beis Gimel Daled, Hey Vav Zayin, you're always going to equal 9, because Torah is Emes, and therefore Torah starts with Emes, and Torah is Emes. And that's very much connected to this week's Shir. We're going to continue the Shir on Techiyas Hameisim, which when the Neshamas come back by Techiyas Hameisim, they're going to see the Emes of the Avodah of Torah mitzvahs. Because while they were in this world, they did Avodah and they did not see the way Yiddishkeit and the mitzvahs that they did actually affected the world. The Emeskeit of what they learned and what they did was not revealed. When Mashiach comes, the true Metzias of the world, that the world is not a concealment on the Eibishter, rather a place where the Eibishter reveals himself, the emes of everything is going to come out. This Shir is l'schus a very special Yid, Chizkiyo Yaakov Moshe ben Mariasa, for Refuah Shleimo Kroiva, and Mirz Hashem will be a Refuah Amiti, a complete and emes Refuah, and blessings of health and happiness, lariches yomim v'shonim toivos. In our previous year, we discussed the fact that every Yid will have a chelik in Techiyas Hameisim, and certain halachas that will happen in Techiyas Hameisim, and that Yidden in this generation will be able to go straight to Mashiach without having to go through the process of Techiyas Hameisim. And that's all for previous year, Shir number 8. I would like to start off this year addressing a very, very basic question. And that is, truly, why does everyone have a chelik in Techiyas Hameisim? Kol Yisrael yesh lam chelik lo lam haba. Why truly? It would seem like this. Techiyas Hameisim and the revelations of Techiyas Hameisim are a lot greater than the revelations that happen in Gan Eden. How do we know that? What's the proof? Maybe Gan Eden is higher. The proof is very, very simple. If all the neshamas that are in Gan Eden are going to return to this world, then obviously what they're getting is a lot greater than what they're giving up. Hashem would not make a neshama give up something greater to come down into this world if what he was getting here was not equally as great, if not greater, than what he's getting where he is. And when you go a neshama chas v'shalom, and leaves the body, and it gets to the heavenly court, there's judgment, and not everyone goes directly to Gan Eden. Very, very few people. It says, Mi yala bar Hashem niki chapayim u'levav. You have to be very, very refined in order to enter Gan Eden. The doors are not so open to everybody. It's not direct entry. Yet when you go to Techiyas Hameisim, Kol Yisrael yesh lam chelik lo lam haba, everybody gets to go into Techiyas Hameisim. What's the explanation? So there's a fascinating mimer. It's printed in Sefer Memor Melukit Chelek Dalid, and it's entitled Kol Yisrael Yeshlam Chelek Leilam Haba. And actually in that mimer, the Rebbe addresses this question. And the Rebbe answers, and the Rebbe explains like this. That the pasuk itself, look in the pasuk, and the pasuk itself gives you the answer. The pasuk says, why? Shenemar v'yamech kulam tzadikim. All Yidden are tzadikim. What does it mean, all Yidden are tzadikim? We all have a special neshama for sure. But what does it mean that all Yidden are tzadikim? The answer is very simple. Tzadikim means that we do tzedakah. Tzedakah means good deeds, right? Mitzvahs. Gan Eden is the reward for Torah learning. Techiyas Hameisim is the reward for the mitzvahs that we did in this world. Mitzvahs are much more tangible. You do it in a physical world with physical objects. Torah is a lot more intellectual. It's less tangible. It's intellectual pursuit. It speaks more to the neshama, while the mitzvahs speak more to the guf, to the body. And therefore, regarding Gan Eden, not everyone has time to learn. Even when it comes to daily learning, there's different quotas for different people. Businessmen learn a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the evening. People that have time have to learn more. But there are different, even halachic categories and requirements for people to in Limud Torah. However, regarding mitzvahs, everyone's the same. And there's no Yid that doesn't do mitzvahs. Like Chazal say, Afilu Poishe Yisrael, even sinners, Melei mitzvahs kerimoin, are filled with mitzvahs like a pomegranate. Which I want to share with you, my dear audience, a fascinating perspective. How Chassidus teaches us a certain perspective. You can take the very same Maimer Chazal and look at it two opposite ways. I've heard personally someone say that even if you see someone doing mitzvahs, that's not a proof that he's okay, because he could be the Poishe Yisrael Shemlei Mitzvahs Karima. In other words, you look at the mitzvah, and when you see the person doing the mitzvah, instead of seeing the mitzvah, you see the Poishe Yisrael. Oh, maybe he's from the sinners. Chassidus says, no, you see a Poishe Yisrael. You see a sinner. What do you say about that sinner? He's Melei Mitzvahs Karimoin. He's filled with mitzvahs like a rimoin. But the maskana is, the conclusion, is that every single Yid has done mitzvahs. And because every single Yid has done mitzvahs, therefore that earns him his chelek in Olam Haba. The mitzvahs which are done with the physical body, that causes the physical resurrection of the body, because the body was the one that did the mitzvah. And therefore, will have to be resurrected. The question now is, after everyone comes back and is back in their bodies, is this the final end? Is this where it's at, or is there a next stage after there? In truth, there's a tremendous machloikis between the Rambam, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, and the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, where they argue on this concept. The Rambam holds clearly that after Techiyas Hameisim, after everyone passes away and comes back, there's going to be a era where everyone's going to pass away and enter this unbelievable Gan Eden, freed from the limitations of the body. However, the Ramban argues and he says, no, Olam HaTchiyah is the final destination. At first glance, Rambam's opinion makes so much more sense. We all understand how limiting the body is, how physicality in its most refined state is still physical, yet is not able to soar freely. You cannot see a neshama being free in a physical body, no matter how refined and how spiritually elevated and sensitive the body is. It's still extremely, extremely limiting. So Rambam's opinion that when Mashiach comes, the ultimate stage will be a neshama freed from the limitations of the body after it received its rewards for doing the mitzvahs, it goes on. That would seem the more acceptable, logical, practical, rational approach. Ramban argues, like we mentioned previously, and what's fascinating is that Chassidus, Kabbalah, agrees with the Ramban. And all the Maimorim of Chassidus, based on the Arizal, they say that we follow the Ramban and we say that the final destination for all the neshamis is in this physical world. And that seems very strange. This demands explanation. Why? What's in this physical world that for that we have all the neshamas coming back? This is the final destination right here. To understand the answer, we're watching this shir right before Yud Shvat. Everyone that hears Yud Shvat, every Yom Tov has a slogan. Hey Tevis, Dida Notzach, Shchodesh Kislev is the Niggin and Kinus HaShluchim. What is the slogan of Yud Shvat? 2 words. If I had to put 2 words to Yud Shvat, it's Basi Legani, which that's the first words of all the Maimorim of the Rebbe of Yud Shvat, based on the Friedrich Rebbe's Maimorim, which I heard a very, very geschmack of word from Rabbi Levi Gorelik, Crown Heights. He says like this: the Rambam writes that when Mashiach comes, we're going to go into Eretz Yisrael, they have 3 mitzvahs. 1 mitzvah is to appoint a king. The second mitzvah is to get rid of Amalek. And the third mitzvah is to build the Beis HaMikdash. He says, if you look at the first words of all the last 3 Rabbeim, their first mimer, you'll see this parallel. The Rebbe Rashab's first mimer was Keser Yitin L'cha, Minoi Melech. The Friedrich Rebbe's first mimer was Reishis Goyim Amalek, getting rid of Amalek. And the Rebbe's first mimer is Basi Legani, building the Beis HaMikdash Lamata Ba'aretz. But anyways, in all these Maimorim of Basi Legani, the Maimorim are based on the fact that this world is Gani. It's not just a world. It's the Eibishter's pleasure place. Legani legnuni lemokim sheikri betchila deikir shchina betachtoinim hoysa. Which means that this world is not just a place where Hashem uses us that we should be able to attain higher levels of Gan Eden. Rather, this world is Hashem's pleasure place. This is the goal of the entire creation. Like we know, the famous line, Nisava Kodesh Baruch Hu Dira B'Tachtoinim. The Eibishter desired a dwelling place in this physical world. In all the higher spiritual worlds, Hashem cannot dwell. In this physical world, Hashem can dwell. What does it mean He can't dwell? Dwelling means that I'm able to express who I am. I want to explain that a minute. If I am renting or I am boarding in your home, I can, as comfortable as I am, that home is going to reflect you, it's not going to reflect me. My home reflects who I am. If I'm your good friend, or you're my good friend, even if you never saw my house before, and I would show you 10 homes, walk inside, obviously without pictures, but style, what svarim are in the home, what things are in the home. If you knew me, you would probably be able to point out, say, this is your home. Why? Because your home reflects you. Your home is an extension and reflection of you. You are expressed in your home. Hashem is looking for a place to express Himself, His very, very essence. That He cannot express in the higher worlds. The higher worlds are not a vessel for this level of expression. And there are many different reasons why the higher worlds are not a vessel for this expression. But simply speaking, as spiritual as they are, but their spirituality actually blocks their ability to receive the essence of the Eibishter. However, only in this physical world, where there's no preconceived notions of godliness, it's, so to speak, raw territory. There's no pre-designed already paths of godliness created. can a whole new level of godliness be expressed. The essence of the Eibishter can be expressed and will be expressed in this world. This physical body, like Hasidus tells us, that expresses the Eibishter's essence. And that we see in our body, in ourselves. There's a certain sense of independency that the world feels. We don't get up and feel godliness. Everyone says, wow, that's a tremendous, tremendous negative. In the higher worlds, they wake up and they're sensitive to godliness. We wake up as if we just were woken up, as if there was no creator. Well, Chassidus tells us that's actually, that feeling that we have is an expression of our true creator. Because God had no one that created him, and his essence is in this world, it's just hidden. So therefore, we picked up on that feeling. We also feel that, so to speak, we have no creator. And that is the reason why all the neshamas will come down here. This is the final destination. There is no higher place. There's no greater revelation than the revelation that's going to be expressed in the world when Mashiach comes. Like it says, V'ro kol basar kipiya vayediber. When Mashiach comes, the flesh is going to be as sensitive to the Dvar Hashem. The whole world will mal haaretz deos Hashem. There will be, and once this level is expressed in this world, all the other worlds which were leading up to this world will benefit from that expression. But that's why Chassidus tells us that Techias Hameisim is the final destination. How do we prepare for it these days? How do we prepare for Techias Hameisim? The Alter Rebbe tells us that Kol Hagiluyim Delosid Lavei, all the Giluyim of Mashiach, Tluyim b'maiseinu avdeseinu b'zman meshach hagolos, are dependent on our avoid in this world. So what about Techias Hameisim can we do today? Firstly, by realizing that this is our final destination, it makes us appreciate and value the physical mitzvah. Encouraging more and more Yidden, one mitzvah, because that gives them a chelik and olam haba, and that is the essence, it's in this world. But there's an interesting ayoyim yoyim. The ayoyim yoyim says like this, there's a avoid of Techias Hameisim. That avoid of Techias Hameisim is taking the mind, which is naturally cold, intellectual, very, very non-emotional. The mind, everything is calm, cool, and collected. And getting the mind excited about the Eibishter. Like it says when Mashiach comes, V'yesigu das boiram kvi koyach ha'adam. The whole point is that our minds should be excited about Elikus. He says when the mind gets excited and emotionally involved, it gets the heart involved with Elikus. That is Techias Hameisim Beruchnius, taking a cold intellect and getting it inspired with Elikus. And that's why the Rebbe wants us to learn in Yonagul Mashiach, to take our mind, which is in Golus. We've been trained that this is our place, we're comfortable here, our parents, we're grandparents, great-grandparents. We have a Golus mindset. To bring Geula to our mind, by internalizing the concepts that we learn in Yonagul Mashiach, that brings Techias Hameisim to our mind, and that brings Techias Hameisim to the entire world. So therefore, my dear friends, I ask of you again, take the opportunity to do extra learning in Yonagul Mashiach, and especially spreading in Yonagul Mashiach to your friends, family, neighbors, anyone that you can reach. And if you feel that it's beneficial, and I hope you do, because you watch the shir till this end, feel free to share this shir and everything that you've learned here with everyone that you can reach. And together, we will merit to see each other and all the Yidden from all the previous generations, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, all the Yidden from all the generations before, that they will come back, V'kitzu v'ranu sheichni offer, v'hu b'soicham, and the Frierdiker Rebbe and all the previous Rabbeim, they're going to come back and they're going to see the revolution of the Rebbe, of Der Hashvi, the Rebbe leading us towards Mashiach as Melech HaMashiach, Melech b'yofyei sechazeno einenu, take it from Miyad Mamish.